Today, we're going to take a super familiar but honestly really misunderstood word and just completely flip it on its head. We're talking about the quiet power of frugal living. Together, we're going to totally redefine frugality today. We're moving it away from this grim idea of constant restriction and showing you what it actually is, a ridiculously powerful, highly intentional tool for absolute freedom.
So let's just jump right in and address the elephant in the room. What if living a quote-unquote smaller life today is actually the absolute smartest way to build a much bigger life tomorrow? I know. When you hear the word frugal, your brain probably goes straight to penny-pinching misery, right? You picture someone who never goes out, never treats themselves, just stressing over every single cent. But the source material we're looking at today proposes a massive paradigm shift. It argues that true frugality isn't about suffering at all. It's actually about choosing freedom over noise. Section 1. The myth of frugality. Rethinking the struggle. We really need to break down that depressing, social media-driven image of what it means to be frugal. True frugality, it's not about restriction. It's about intentionally reducing waste, cutting out those fake needs, and just freeing your money. It's not poverty, it's control. Think about it. In a modern world that is literally always demanding you to spend more, upgrade your phone, buy into the latest trend, true frugality acts as a form of quiet power. It's a literal act of resistance. It doesn't shout for attention online, but it shows up exactly where it matters, in flexible choices, calm nights, and, of course, growing bank balances. Section 2. Cheap versus frugal. Redefining the terms. Now, this brings us to probably the most crucial distinction you need to make on this journey, being cheap versus being frugal. Cheapness focuses obsessively on price. It's always asking, what is the absolute lowest cost no matter what? But frugality focuses on value. It asks, what is the smartest way to spend? A cheap person might buy a terribly made tool that breaks after 2 uses just because it had the lowest price tag. That's not frugal, actually. That's just wasteful. A frugal person thoughtfully aligns their spending with their actual values and their long-term goals. So real frugality isn't about being a miser. It's about being deeply, deeply thoughtful about exactly where your resources are going. So the whole thing hinges on how you define value. Frugal spending asks a totally different set of questions. Does this purchase offer long-term use? Does it bring a real, tangible improvement to your life? Does it add emotional or relational meaning? Or maybe support your health or your freedom? Frugality basically asks you to be ruthlessly honest about what you are actually getting back. It empowers you to direct your hard-earned money toward experiences and items that genuinely matter. And, this is key, gives you full permission to just refuse to spend on shallow luxuries that honestly don't.
Section 3. The power of margin. The mechanics of wealth.
Okay, let's dive into the actual mechanics of why this works so well. Wealth building depends entirely on protecting and widening the gap between your income and your lifestyle costs. That surplus right there is everything. What happens to most people? Well, they get a raise and boom, their lifestyle costs instantly inflate to match it. That lifestyle inflation shrinks the gap right back down to zero, but frugal living intentionally protects that surplus. You could earn a totally average income, but by maintaining a modest lifestyle, that gap becomes a consistent, powerful surplus for you every single month.
And that gap is what we call margin. Margin is simply the extra room between your obligations and your resources. When you create this space, when your lifestyle is significantly smaller than your income, you gain immense power. You gain the power to handle unexpected problems, the power to survive a temporary loss of income, and honestly, maybe most importantly, the power to just walk away from a toxic job because you aren't desperate for next week's paycheck to cover your debts. Margin gives you the room to finally rest without panic. But beyond the math, there's this profound psychological benefit. Constant spending creates heavy mental clutter. If you've ever felt that exhausting internal monologue of, how am I going to pay for this? Or why do I always feel broke? You know exactly what I mean. That financial stress just drains your energy. Frugality directly reduces that mental noise. By choosing a moderate lifestyle and just ignoring those artificial needs, you simplify your decisions. Your mind becomes quieter, which frees up so much mental space for creativity, relationships, and your health.
Section 4. Overcoming the status trap. Navigating modern pressures. Now, we definitely have to acknowledge the emotional resistance here, because choosing this path in today's world is genuinely hard. Our modern culture equates spending on dining, gadgets, and flashy brands with status. So the fear kicks in, I'll be seen as cheap. But the reality, you're just being selective to protect your future. The fear says I'll miss out on life. But the reality is you are trading fleeting trends to gain real peace, stability, and freedom. And the fear warns, I might feel poor, but poverty is a lack of options. The reality here is that you're creating far more options for yourself later by using fewer resources right now. It takes immense courage to disconnect your self-worth from external displays. Absolutely. But it is a profoundly liberating shift.
Section 5. Building quiet wealth, the output of frugality. So let's look at what actually happens when you maintain this discipline over time. By widening that gap we talked about, you create this powerful funnel. You're actively directing your income into vital assets, emergency funds, debt repayment, investments, building your skills, or maybe starting a side hustle. That unspent money accelerates into cash buffers and investment portfolios, which is completely different from the leaky pipe of shallow upgrades that leave literally no lasting financial trace. This proves that frugality works beautifully, even on a modest income, simply because you're concentrating your money on your true priorities. Oh, and here's a really cool, surprising bonus. Buying fewer, better things gently lowers your environmental footprint through less waste and less clutter. By using things longer, throwing less away, and just accumulating less junk, your financial choices take on a much deeper, kind of a double meaning. You're protecting your own financial future while simultaneously contributing to a way less wasteful world overall. Pretty awesome, right? Section 6. Practical application. Starting the frugal journey. All right, let's get highly practical here and outline how you can actually apply this in your daily life without feeling like you're punishing yourself. If you've never lived frugally, please don't try to flip your whole life overnight. Step 1, just choose one area to simplify, like your food budget or those sneaky monthly subscriptions. Step 2, define your non-negotiable joys. This is absolutely vital. Keep the things that truly bring you happiness so this whole lifestyle is actually sustainable. Step 3, set a small, totally achievable monthly goal to save a little extra. Step 4, direct that saved money immediately to savings or investments so you can visually see the benefit right away. And finally, Step 5, just observe how it feels and adjust as you go. Adopting concrete frugal practices helps you build this protective shield against manipulative modern marketing. You forge this shield by knowing exactly what your essentials are and making them reliable. Limit your lifestyle upgrades when your income rises. Try cooking a bit more and ordering less. Fully use what you already have and maybe choose simple recreation like walks or free community events. These habits do so much more than just save a few bucks. They build a protective money identity. You start to see yourself as someone who genuinely values simplicity, which massively strengthens your defense against the constant, everyday pressure to consume. All of these practices bring us to the true essence of everything we've unpacked today. Listen to this. Frugal living is not about having less life. It is about having less noise so you can build more life. That right there perfectly summarizes the essence of quiet wealth. It's about stripping away all the distractions, the artificial needs, and the heavy societal pressures to make room for absolute intention and lasting joy. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative question to chew on. Will you let your simplicity today buy your freedom tomorrow? The choice and the power is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, make sure you stick around for our next explainer where we're going to dive into a fascinating look at why calm people actually build way more wealth than reactive ones, and exactly how you can cultivate that financial calm for yourself. See you then.